tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? Hush.
Well, do you feel like America's back, everybody? Are you feeling Trumpy? Huh? Maybe a little MAGA? Are you? That's the question. Are you Trumpy? What does Trumpy mean? You know, I've been thinking about this because I've had a few people call me Trumpy, call me extreme, right, MAGA, etc. Every insult that a far-left idiot can sling at me just for having the opinion that we should put America first and that, well, I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump because he was the right guy for the job. I voted for Trump because he's putting America first. And guess what? Promises made, promises kept. It's exactly what he's been doing. Yet they still find a way. They still find a way to hate. The hate in their heart comes out. Their emotional turmoil, the distress, everything that they don't even know why they're pissed about. They're just mad at the world because their feelings are being hurt. Because, you know, we're taking away the rights of transgender people and we're abolishing DEI and damn it, my feelings are just hurt. I don't even know why I'm mad. I'm just mad. You know what? You put America first. You are the problem. You have no compassion and no humanity. Well, I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole of circular arguments and basically baseless claims. And I mean, listen, I hear people out. I hear you all out. Believe me, I hear out the left. I hear out the right. I hear out the centrist. I hear out the intel guys. I hear out the talking heads. I have conversations with everybody because why not? Why not get the perspective of all individuals? Everybody has a right to their opinion. And as long as it's based on some kind of fact and data, maybe it's your life experience, etc. Look, I'm not here to tell you how to live. But I am telling you, if you're not putting America first after this election, I don't know. I'd hate to, well, no, I'm just going to say, maybe you are the problem. I'm sorry, but America is the great country that you live in. And for those who don't live in America and you can't understand why it's an issue for America to come first, well, just let me remind you that America itself, on its own, monetarily, supports and funds over 200 countries. Does your nation do that? More than likely not. I could dig into all the data, but I'm not going to do it on this show because I have done this previously. And if you want to hear it, just go to my back catalog and you will find it. But we fund over 200 countries. We provide military support for many nations, even those outside of NATO, because we look out for the little guy. And yes, of course, being America, we do look out for our own interests. I'm not going to lie about that. But the reality is, yes, it is time for America to come first. We're no longer going to keep bleeding money. We're no longer going to be the bank of the world. And we're no longer just going to get involved in stupid, unnecessary wars and skirmishes if it doesn't mean that our interest is upheld as well. It's no longer the America who just bends the knee to the world with open arms without any valid reason of doing so. We will support our neighbors. We will support our allies, but we will not support stupidity. And speaking of stupidity, we still have some hangers-on in our own country that can't understand the importance of protecting our borders, who are crying and screaming and falling on their knees over the deportations that have been had recently since Trump took office. They can't understand it. And they try to play on your emotions and tug on your heartstrings and say you're separating families and what are you going to do with the children? And then the mother will never see their child again. Listen, that old hat ain't working anymore. I'm sorry. You need to update the way that you're coming at me because I'm not buying it. It's bullshit. President Trump has made it very clear, and Tom Homan has made it very clear that their directive is to go after the illegal criminals. If you're here illegally, now we can argue whether or not it's lawful to separate families. But if you want to talk about law, justice, as they say, is blind. And if you want to talk about justice and you want to talk about laws, they are literally, for the most part, black and white. And if you interpret them just as they're written, crossing over another nation's border illegally is, well, just exactly as it is in the statement I just said, defined as illegal. You broke a law, period. And just because you were able to get away with it for a while and tried to start a different life, in which, by the way, for the most part, many of the people who do so take all the money that they earn and hustle for and just send it back to their families overseas, where they can amass amount of wealth that is not attainable in their own country. And when they get ready to retire, you know what they do? They go back to those countries to live like kings. And it isn't specific to any one person, one race, one nationality. Listen, most all of them do it. Whether you're from India, I know this for a fact because I've had many interactions with people from India and done business with people from India, and I get little inside info. They do it. People from Mexico do it. People from countries in Africa do it. Most any illegal immigrant does this. And, well, even some legal immigrants do this. And look, you have a right to do what you want with your money. But when you're illegal and you're doing these things, you're obviously going out of your way to circumvent our laws in order to enrich your pockets and still take advantage of free medical, many of the programs that were in place to take care of, dare I say, air quotes, immigrants. And if you're here legally under valid refugee status, look, there's no problem with you. Nobody cares that you did it legally. Nobody cares that you're an actual, real, bona fide, legit refugee. You have to understand the people that the government, as of now, that ICE is going after, that Homeland Security is going after, the directive that has been given by Trump is to go after those who are illegal. And more specifically, they're more or less focused on criminal organizations by the gangs that are coming in here, cartel members that have snuck in and have infiltrated and set up shop. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for known terrorists that were able to get in unsuspectedly. That's what they're focusing on. Do you think that the government right now, the Trump administration, wakes up every morning and says, I wonder which family I can separate? And when it comes to separating families, and listen, if you do something illegal and you're on the run and you escape the country who's going after you to enter another country to try to make another life, you know that at any given moment, the law's going to be tapping you on the shoulder because you're not going to be able to run forever. They eventually catch up to you. And just because you chose to have a family doesn't make it right that you still haven't paid for the crimes that you have committed. This is a fact. This happens not just to illegal immigrants who come into our country, but also to people who've committed crimes and criminals of the United States who were citizens who had to flee themselves, who end up being extradited back to the U.S. because guess what? The law catches up to you. You see, I'm not a person who's going to look at this from one perspective. This goes both ways. This is for everybody. So realize if you're being deported, extradited, what we are focusing on, what the United States is focusing on, what the Trump administration is focusing on are the known illegal criminals who are committing heinous acts and crimes. In fact, J.D. Vance says the same. And guess what? It is good to have a president in place and an administration that has, dare I say it, a big, giant pair of brass balls that isn't afraid that you can hear them clanging as they're walking towards you. Because this is what has been needed for quite some time. And you may laugh at some of the stuff I say. You may find me ridiculous and you may say that, oh my God, this guy's insane. Well, not really. Look, I'm just tired. I'm fed up. And the reality is we have been needing to put America first for quite some time. And so fast forward, here we are. And listen to J.D. Vance's response as we have CBS Face the Nation trying to grill him on how bad it is to be deporting people. And listen, some of these people are vetted. How dare you? How dare you round these people up? But J.D. Vance is good at this because he comes back at people with facts and data and opinions that make actual sense from a place of someone who's actually very educated. Check this out.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals have been properly vetted.
But there are 30,000 people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted. These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country. And I think most Americans agree with me.
That's right, Margaret. We don't really care. J.D. Vance does not care. Does not care. Wasn't it nice to hear our administration, our vice president, who is actually very active and vocal? What a breath of fresh air compared to, what was her name? Kamala, whatever. Anyway, so J.D. Vance says, my priority is to put America first, to look out for the American citizens, looking out for their safety. I don't care, Margaret. It doesn't matter. You have no argument. That was lovely. And guess what? Fast forward. Here's a video that there's not a lot going on, but in the background, what you're hearing is 50 Venezuelan gang members that were arrested by ICE and the DEA in Denver, Colorado. Yes, Denver, Colorado. Remember when they said that Colorado didn't have a Venezuelan gang problem? The Tren de Aragua problem wasn't real. Remember that? Remember when President Trump, when he was on his campaign trail, remember when this happened? We don't have a problem in Colorado. There's no apartments being taken over, ran by Venezuelan gangs. There's no such thing whatsoever. You are just being racist and are choosing to target a specific group of people. Remember that? I do. I reported on it. I remember it. I even did a little deep dive on the Tren de Aragua gang and what they do. And they are very bad people. But yet, here we go. 50 Venezuelan gang members were just arrested in Colorado, which apparently, according to leftist media and the previous administration, didn't exist and wasn't real. Sure. So this is one of the reasons why J.D. Vance has made his stance. This is one of the reasons that Trump is making sure that we're doing our jobs, that ICE is doing their jobs, that Homeland Security is doing their job, and making sure that we are protecting the American people. But it's not good enough because here's the sounds of a protest in Chicago in front of Trump Tower, where people from multiple backgrounds, from different nations, dare I say, because in this protest, you have Mexican flags, you have Palestinian flags, you have so many flags of different nations all standing up to protest the deportations, the efforts by Homeland Security to actually protect our own country and secure our borders. And again, all you see here are just flags from other nations. This is a protest of people, by people who came together, multiple nations, to stand up against the government, in their efforts to go after known criminals and deport them. And not even just known criminals, but those who are also just, well, again, illegal immigrants, people who just came across the border illegally. How is it right for you to come together? How dare you? I'm going to say this outright, and I do not care what people think. How dare you think it is okay for you to sit here on this sovereign soil that we call America and raise a foreign nation's flag and then have the balls to say that what you're doing is wrong, that enforcing the laws of the United States of America is wrong, and you need to bend the knee to what we want and how we feel, and you will not infringe on our rights as illegal immigrants. Now, listen, everybody has certain inalienable, how do you say that? Anyway, certain rights that are afforded to them as people, as citizens of the world. Yes. Now, we're not rounding people up and putting them into concentration camps. We're not rounding them up and shooting them in the streets for stepping on our land. And in fact, the authorities haven't ran in and rounded up all these protesters and arrested them. They're letting them exercise the right of free speech that is afforded all American citizens, U.S. citizens, which, by the way, doesn't necessarily have to extend to those who are not citizens, laws of our country or for laws of our citizens. And I will say that if you were here illegally and you are protesting and you're waving your foreign nation's flag on our sovereign soil, you are lucky that you are not rounded up and considered a terrorist yourself. How dare you stake your claim on our land? Am I being extreme? Possibly, maybe. Am I pissed off? Just a little bit, because the disrespect for this country, this great nation, has to end. Now, while it's bad enough that we see those who represent other nations protesting on the behalf of those nations and those people of those nations who are here illegally, and maybe we can even say they're guests of our nation, we also have people in office of various cities throughout this great nation going out of their way to help illegal immigrants avoid ICE, to circumvent the law. They are going out of their way to literally oppose the federal law enforcement that is ICE and the Department of Homeland Security for literally trying to protect this great nation we call the United States of America. Here's a report out of Chicago.
Activists and elected officials are canvassing neighborhoods, letting people know their rights should ICE come knocking.
Up and down Cermak Avenue today, business after business prominently displayed the same flyer. Don't open for ICE. Little Village business owners telling us it's the least they can do. People need to stick together, no matter their immigration status, says Jose Luis Vasquez, who's owned this computer and phone repair shop for 9 years now. A few blocks away at the Little Village Arch.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt that. We need to stick together regardless of your immigration status. That's the argument made. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're here legally or illegally. We are going to make sure that you're protected and that you aren't arrested and that we circumvent the laws of the United States. Okay, let's continue hearing this report.
A handful of activists braved the sub-zero wind chills to rally against the Trump administration's stated plans to conduct mass deportation raids in Chicago.
We've been out here since 5 in the morning, educating our community, educating our people that they have rights.
Among those canvassed.
What rights are we talking about, and what are you educating them on exactly? You see, things like this are appalling to me. You want to stand together in defiance of this great nation for what? So you can continue to take advantage of our economic system, the opportunities afforded to you? It's okay for you to do this and spit in the face of America? We're going to stand up to the big, bad, evil orange man, Trump, your fucking president, the president of the United States, number 47. He is here to kick ass and take names. And thus far, he has not disappointed. But hold on. We need to look out for our communities. We need to stand as one. Your communities, right? Are you looking to protect those such as the ones that Tom Homan explains in this video here when he gives his rebuttal to someone who asks him why? Why are you doing this? What is the point? Huh.
Tom Homan's a racist. Tom Homan's a say whatever you want. I don't give a Why do I care? I care because I stood in the back of a tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens that suffocated and baked to death, including a 5-year-old little boy that died in his father's arms. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. They're animals. When you look into a little girl's eyes, 9 years old, and who had adults take everything innocent and pure from her, You look in those eyes, and those eyes have no life in them. Her life will never be the same. That's what me off.
So what say you now? What do you have to say about that? You still standing up for the rights of those, regardless of their immigration status, for those that are unvetted? Are you still opposed to Homeland Security and ICE and the Trump administration looking out for those little girls who are forced into sex trafficking, becoming sex slaves themselves, to those who thought they were coming in to start a better life only to be found dead in a container, to see evil organizations such as Tren de Aragua and known terrorists, by the way, who have been caught at our border. Are these the people you're standing up for in solidarity against the United States government? Is this what is bad? This is the wrong side of history that we're on, right? Protecting our borders and our citizens. That's what's wrong. Because according to Tom Homan's experience, these are the things that he's against. He's against evil. He's against children becoming sex slaves. He's against people dying trying to make a better life for themselves. He's against cartels and evil gang organizations coming in and just setting up shop and taking advantage of our country, our citizens, our system. But fuck all that. Let's stand in solidarity and wave flags of foreign nations on our soil, because non-citizens have the rights that are equal to citizens of the United States, right? I think, is that what you're saying? It's okay? All right. Listen, I think you get my point. I hope you get my point. But I'm sure if you're a hardcore leftist, those liberal tears are just rolling down your face. And, well, you're welcome. If you're that triggered over the safety of our borders in America, again, look in the mirror and look inside yourself and realize you're the problem. Because here's some more data. Here's some more facts when it comes to why we need to protect our borders and why it's not okay. This from ICE themselves, their own website. Here's some data I found in regard to human rights violators and war criminals that have been removed by ICE and HSI, a department of ICE, by the way. And this data goes back to 2003, but it's still very eye-opening because every day you don't hear about these things. See, there is facts and data that any individual can find. Not just me, not just people like me, but anybody. It's out there, but I think we choose to ignore it or not to dive deeper. Again, too many surface dwellers, as I say, they live on the surface of information. These are the same people who accuse me of being a Trumpy, Trumpster, Trump, MAGA guy. But all I am doing is supporting America and America first. I am absolutely right of center, but I want to make it very clear. I care about this great nation. And that's why I say the things I say, and that's why I do the research I do, and that's why I present the facts and data that I do on this show. The facts and data that anybody out there who has a feeling about me, who is crying and screaming and letting those hard left tears just roll down your cheeks that are opposed to everything I say, guess what? The facts and data are there for you as well. And while you may ignore them, while you don't want to accept them, they are there. And if you have something for me in response, if you want to rebut anything that I'm saying with actual facts and data, send it to me. Let's have a real conversation, but stop accusing people because they are saying things that you do not want to accept. Stop accusing them of being far right, of being Nazi, of anything that makes me or people like me look like a horrible person and a monster in a bad light, because we're not, because I'm not, because I'm a person, as I said, who cares about this country, and I am not going to stop standing up for this great nation. But back to ICE. Human rights violators, war criminals. In 2008, HSI created the Human Rights Violators and War Crimes Center. So this was in 2008. And what's important to note here, they founded this in 2008, but since 2003, ICE themselves have arrested more than 480 individuals for human rights related violations. ICE obtained deportation orders against and physically removing 1,100 known or suspected human rights violators from the United States. In addition, they have also facilitated the departure of an additional 186 individuals from the United States. Currently, HSI has more than 170. This is currently, now, today. They have 170 active investigations into suspected human rights violators and is pursuing more than 1,700, that is 1,700 leads and removals cases involving suspected human rights violators from not just this country, but from 95 different countries. And we have an issue with protecting our borders and deporting known criminals. Listen, this interactive map, I can hover over the known war criminals and human rights violators. And everybody says, you know, you guys are just, America, the Trump administration is just focusing in on Latinos and South American people and people of the South. Are we really? Let me hover over this map here. Mexico, there were 21 known war criminals or human rights violators that were apprehended and removed. Guatemala, 132. Let's see who else is next to Guatemala. Let me see over here. We're going to go to El Salvador. Oh, yeah, we didn't have that dangerous El Salvadorian gang problem. We do have Mexican gang problems too, but let's focus on the dangerous El Salvadorian gang problems we have. So again, 219 removals from El Salvador. Isn't that kind of eye-opening? And you know, if we want to go further down, I mean, well, let's go over to Haiti. 104. Okay. Colombia, 31, 19 in Peru. And as we keep going, it seems like the South American continent and those south of our border seem to want to favor hanging out and harboring in those nations. So are we focusing on the countries of the south of our border, on South America and Mexico? Well, I mean, if I hover up here, we had one removal from Canada, and we've had hundreds thus far from South American nations. So yeah, I guess we would be focusing on that area since that's where the activity is. Kind of makes sense. Does that mean we're being racist? Well, no. I mean, the data supports it. Known war criminals and human rights violators have been removed and are specifically from those countries south of our border. I know. Keep crying. Let those tears keep rolling down your cheek. I know inside you're so mad right now, so angry. You just want to tear my head off, right? For reading facts and data. I get it. You can't accept it. I get it. It's hard. Look, it's hard. I know. Look, the data's there. Whether you believe it or not. The data is there. Well, now let's move on to the other glorious topics of discussion. Executive orders. The promises kept by President Trump. Thus far, in a week, well, a little bit more than a week now, it's been 9 days, he has signed over 30 executive orders. Trump has been so busy that I can't keep up. And I got to be honest, I know it took me a bit to put another episode out. I had a hard time keeping up with Trump, keeping up with what's going on. And I'm not specifically just focusing on Trump, but there's a lot going on in this world. And there will be a lot more information for me to reveal and situations to discuss in future episodes. But as I was about to every day put an episode out, as I was about to put something together based on Trump's executive orders and what's going on, he signs another one. He has another discussion with another state leader, governor. He has a back and forth with Colombia about accepting their own citizens back. That was an amazing back and forth, and basically a lesson on golf day for Trump on a Sunday where he's playing rounds of golf. Does he stop? No, not at all. He picks up the phone and he makes it public and he tweets, basically calling out Colombia for their actions, enforcing tariffs, and Colombia spat back, the leader of Colombia, and was like, no. We will also enforce tariffs on you. And It's like, okay, well, my coffees might be a little more expensive. And apparently the cut flower industry is heavily supported and provided by Colombia. So I guess flowers will cost more. But listen, there's other sources for coffee. I mean, if you want to play ball, let's play ball. But listen, on a Sunday, Trump playing golf, by the time he was I think he was probably on third hole, maybe by the seventh hole, this whole thing was over. Colombian leader said, nah, you know what? We're going to go ahead and just squash this. In fact, I'll send my presidential plane to pick them up to make sure that my citizens are taken care of and shown respect. Oh, really? 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 How funny. Anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into that. I'm sure anybody who pays attention to social media saw the back and forth, and it was just hilarious. It was hilarious. But let's get on to the executive order. So about 37, almost 40 executive orders have been signed within the first week of President Trump's inauguration. And some of those have the leftists spinning their heads and, yes, crying even harder. And nothing seemed to trigger them more than the removal of affirmative action and the abolishment of DEI programs and departments. And this is something that has been needed for quite some time, especially in our military. Our military, in which the Trump administration needs to be rebuilt, needs an absolute reform, and needs to get back to being a military of strong, capable individuals who are, well, if need be, feared and can get the job done and are here to look out for America first and protect America rather than how they feel and what gender they believe they are, and taking positions based on race over ability and merit. It kind of makes sense, right? To have a strong military, not based on just feelings and equity and inclusion. And yeah, anyway. So the many military branches decided that they were going to oppose Trump's order. And what they did was change the name. They changed the name of their departments to something else and said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and we're just going to relabel this department, and we're going to just keep the same basic principles, practices that we're doing before, but we won't call it diversity, equity, and inclusion, though. Well, it was name it something else. Well, Pete Hegseth, who has been confirmed as our Secretary of Defense, the 29th Secretary of Defense, said, nah, not happening. In fact, he literally took a picture of a note he wrote and put it on his own social media account here on X, stating, DOD is not equal to DEI. No exceptions, name changes, or delay. Those who do not comply will no longer work here. Yep, the Trump administration isn't playing. We're getting back to being America. We're getting back to being what America always was, a great, proud, and powerful nation. And yes, that includes our military. Here's a video clip of Pete Hegseth speaking to a reporter, and I believe this is from CNN. Let me go ahead and play this video, and he gives his response on this whole DEI debacle.
And as the Secretary of Defense, it's an honor to salute smartly, as I did as a junior officer and now as the Secretary of Defense, to ensure these orders are complied with rapidly and quickly. Every moment that I'm here, I'm thinking about the guys and gals in Guam, in Germany, in Fort Benning and Fort Bragg, on missile defense sites and aircraft carriers. Our job is lethality and readiness and warfighting. We're going to hold people accountable. I know the chairman agrees with that. The lawful orders of the President of the United States will be executed inside this Defense Department swiftly and without excuse. We will be no better friend to our allies and no stronger adversary to those who want to test us and try us. So, Mr. Chairman, thanks for welcoming me today. I look forward to serving the troops, the warriors of this department. It's the honor of a lifetime, and we're going to get to work.
And get to work he has. Now, speaking of getting to work, President Trump remains very hands-on. And while he has been extremely hands-on, he has not ever backed down to anybody. And there has not been a more public confrontation, back and forth fight than that between President Donald J. Trump and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. I'm sorry, I meant Gavin Newsom, but is it Newsom or Newscum? Anyway, same thing. But Gavin Newsom has claimed that Trump is incompetent. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Come on, you can't turn a spigot and give us water. No such thing as a Delta smelt. Listen, if you listen to my previous episodes, you'll find that I took a deep dive and I basically just exposed Gavin Newsom's bullshit. Because that Delta smelt debacle has been going back, as far as I researched anyway, to 2007. So Gavin Newsom is a liar. But here, let's hear more of Gavin Newsom's bullshit, because he, in this video, in this clip, he proclaims, well, Trump can't literally turn on a spigot. I mean, I kind of look forward to talking to Trump, but not really. Whatever, I'll meet him on the tarmac, because all of a sudden, he wants to meet him because Gavin Newsom realizes his own incompetence is not helping the great citizens of California in their time of need in the disastrous Southern California fire situation. Gavin Newsom knows this. He knows this and he can't deny it anymore. So yeah, of course he wants to meet Trump on the tarmac. Let me play this clip.
When people believe such misinformation, and I don't mean it in a malign sense, maybe the president just doesn't know that there's not a spigot that can be turned to solve all the water problems that he alleges exist, that don't exist, as it relates to the state water system here in Southern California.
So we're less than 24 hours away from his visit. You're saying you haven't had any contact with the White House at all?
Well, I haven't. I'm grateful, though, that he took our invitation to heart, and that he will be here tomorrow. It's my understanding. I look forward to being there on the tarmac to thank the president, welcome him, and we're making sure that all the resources he needs for a successful briefing are provided to him. There's no limit to the resources we'll provide for that briefing, and as I say, I'm grateful that he appears to be coming up.
So you plan on talking to him tomorrow?
Well, I certainly plan on being there at the tarmac, and look forward to continuing to work not just with him, the administration, as it relates to the disaster recovery, as it relates to our efforts to collaborate with multiple federal agencies over the course of the next many years.
Okay, so as I recall it, now I live in California, and as I recall it, President Trump told Gavin Newsom that he was coming. He didn't respond to an invite. Trump said he was coming. Trump said he cared about the citizens of California and that he was going to come down to see what's going on and make sure that the situation is handled, because Gavin Newsom keeps dropping the ball, period. And his claims of wanting to communicate with Trump, I mean, interesting in this video clip where the reporter even asked him, look, 24 hours, like the day before Trump arrives, he asked Newsom, you still haven't had communication? Why not? And Newsom didn't have an answer. He goes, well, I'm going to be meeting him tomorrow. That's not the answer, Newsom. Your state is in trouble. You should be reaching out to Donald Trump instead of opposing him like you have done your entire governorship. When Trump was president in 2016, in those 4 years, Governor Newsom fought Trump tooth and nail for everything. But that's okay, Mr. Newsom, because this is what President Donald J. Trump has to say after he landed in California.
I'm signing an executive order to open up the pumps and valves in the north. We want to get that water pouring down here as quickly as possible and let hundreds of millions of gallons of water flow down into Southern California. And that'll be a big benefit to you. If you don't want it, you're going to tell me, but I can't imagine it. I tell you who does like it is the fire department. When I said that, they were very happy with that. They didn't mind hearing that.
So Trump's response to all this is, I'm signing another executive order. I'm forcing you, Governor Newsom, to take the damn water that California needs. There is no reason to be short on water when there are resources for said water that have been diverted, that has been rerouted, and has not been accepted by the state of California. And moving on, just days after that statement, Donald Trump posts this on his social media, just so that there's a clear understanding that Trump is serious. So after signing that executive order, Trump said this: the United States military just entered the great state of California and, under emergency powers, turned on the water flowing abundantly from the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The days of putting a fake environmental argument over the people are over. Enjoy the water, California. How can you not laugh at that? How can you not laugh at that? That's spitting directly in Governor Newsom's face. California has been controlling the water situation for years, keeping farmers under California's governmental thumb. They have been making money off of selling water rights. They have been making money by creating fake environmental disasters or environmental situations that could be detrimental to said environment. So therefore, water has been diverted or projects have been put on hold. Or, I mean, listen, use your imagination. California has done it. And no one sums up what is going on much more clearly than that of all people, an actor who has come out and is making his stand against wokeness, which really sounds like it's dead. No more. I think wokeness is pretty much going away. And the far left thinking of the Democrat Party. Mel Gibson himself had this to say.
They're a good bunch out here. I'm glad Trump's here at the moment. It's like Daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off,
Daddy has arrived and has taken his belt off. Well, I think that sums up everything that's going on. I'm going to end this episode. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in, listening, and I apologize for not putting this episode out earlier. I have been very busy. I've been guesting on podcasts. I've been trying to host X Spaces. I'm working with my brother on other situations and things that we're talking about. But listen, I appreciate everybody. And all I have ever asked is please like, follow, subscribe, put the notification bell on so you know when these episodes are coming out. But if anything, please share this show with others. Have a great day.
I wanna taste your content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell.